Okay, today I'm going to do something different. It's very random, very spontaneous. I've decided to do a review of two very different perfumes in the one video, and I'm going to do it by having one perfume on one, the other on the other. I've worn these several times throughout the year. These samples were provided to me by friends of mine, social media friends of mine. They sent me samples from their collection, and I have no reason to doubt that they're not authentic. One is going to be Chanel's Coromandel, the EDP version, the current version, and the other is from Serge Lutin. This is a Muscs Koublai. This comes from a Belgian version of this particular perfume. At the moment, this particular perfume is sold in the tall black Gratte de Ciel bottles. So I have no idea if it smells different, but just know that this review is from a Belgian version. So I am going to spray the remainder of my Coromandel on my right arm because there's not much left. I'm finishing it all off. And just so you know, that's projecting really well from my arm, and I haven't needed to get my arm close. And I'm going to spray the rest of my Muscs Koublai on my left side. And interestingly, I can smell it, but as a first comparison, that Coromandel definitely jumped out to my nose in a more assertive way than the Serge Lutin did. What I'm gonna try and do is basically have a sniff of one perfume, talk about what I'm smelling, and then move to the next one. And this is not a comparison. To me, they're in no way familiar, similar perfumes. I just thought it'd be nice to wear two different perfumes at the same time, because I often find that I get different nuances from a perfume when you smell it in the context of comparing it to something else. So this is not a side-by-side comparison because they're similar in any way. They're very different perfumes. One thing they have in common is the original Coromandel was, I believe, co-penned by Christopher Sheldrake with Jacques Polge, and Serge Lutin, Christopher Sheldrake. All right. The one thing I want to say about Coromandel straight off the bat is, to me, this is a lot of times this is talked about as a patchouli scent. And yes, the patchouli is there, but to me, this is a really, I guess, refined, well done Chanel-like amber accord that is kind of the spine of this perfume, because that sweetness, and I really smell a benzoin laden amber accord here that holds Coromandel together. The patchouli in this is there. I want to say it's like this amber accord putting on a cashmere sweater of patchouli. The patchouli gives it some kind of texture. It's like to me, this is a very velvety patchouli as opposed to anything that's green and overly earthy. The way it blends in with the amber accord definitely suggests a sweetness. Now, sometimes you can get sort of chocolatey facets from patchouli. And I'm not sure that is happening here. I do know that from speaking to people with experience of the original EDT version of the Coromandel, there is an official listed note of white chocolate here. And that apparently was more prominent in the EDT than it is in the EDP. The one that you can buy currently. There is a sweetness, but to me, to my nose, it doesn't resemble anything I recognize as white chocolate. I've had lots of white chocolate in my time, but I don't smell this and go, oh yes, the white chocolate's there. I want to say there is faint wisps of a rose note, but it's almost like the rose is ghosting the whole perfume. It's not a standout part of what I'm smelling here. So I'm gonna leave this now, and sort of familiarize my nose with what's going on my left hand side. Muscs Koublai. Okay, so the one thing you need to know about this perfume, my experience of wearing it, and obviously it's my skin, my nose, and how it wears. Earlier this year, when I wore this several times, and it was in the depths of winter because we're in spring now. So I wore this in quite cold weather. I was actually, I don't know what I was expecting from this perfume, but the first couple of times I wore it, it was almost as if I was disappointed with how non-element how non-animalic it was coming off in my skin. I was really expecting it to be something quite, I better brace myself for this perfume. Instead, what I got was, I definitely got this kind of classic rounded warm musk note, but really all it reminded me of were the sort of older era powdery kind of musk perfumes. So what I've since discovered about Musc Koublai is that this has layers. So you spray this on, and there are different levels of. You think of the earth and all the different layers of atmosphere there are, all of different density, different characteristics. When you spray this on, the further, if you're walking around, you're smelling this lovely, very, I guess, very genteel but strong musk accord, powdery even. As you get closer to the skin, this is where you smell the dirty, sexy pirate. Like for some reason, I've got Jack Sparrow wearing Musc Koublai. This is how I imagine he smells, because close up there is no mistaking the the warm skin seeping hormones from sexual arousal. Like this is what it smells like. This is what it reminds me of. It's definitely a what's the word I'm looking for? It's definitely a titillating kind of accord here. I mean, it is a little bit dirty, a little bit skanky. I want to say this is more on the sweaty, stale skin side than anything that's pooey or wee to me, on the way it reacts on my skin. And like I said, it gets like that the closer you get. So if you're in an intimate situation, people at close quarters, there might be some blushing involved. Whereas if you're just out in the street walking past people, they might say, well, he's wearing some kind of old classic perfume that I haven't smelled in years. So this is what I get from Musc Koublai. Coromandel, to me, doesn't really develop a hell of a lot on my skin. Essentially, not a lot happens or changes, but it is a really just well done amber perfume, coated, dressed with a really refined patchouli. And it has, the projection does get softer to me, to my nose, or maybe I get a bit of nose fatigue, but this does stick around on the skin you know, like this was on my skin for a good 8-9 hours when I wore it yesterday as my scent of the day, but the projection does soften down. Muscs Koublai does perform similarly in terms of longevity, although the projection is never crazy here where I ever feel self-conscious about choking out a room. Like, you know, I did several sprays from that little atomizer there, and I don't feel like either one of these perfumes is dominating the other. I can't smell one more than the other. So if I get closer to Coromandel, that's what I smell, and Muscs over here. Which one do I like more? I don't know. I don't know if I love either of these enough to splash out for a bottle. There are definitely other Serge Lutens that I would probably get before Muscs Koublai, probably other Les Exclusives or even sort of patchouli based scents that I would get before Coromandel. I can understand why fragrance enthusiasts love either of these scents. You know, you can love one and not the other, but a lot of people I know love either Coromandel or Muscs or both. They're just really well made perfumes of their genre, particularly a musk. The Serge Lutens is held up as, you know, something to try if you want to get into musk, to explore them, and Coromandel, again, especially if you want some, you know, a very wearable, elegant patchouli with an amber accord. As long as you understand that there is a bit of sweetness associated with this one, but it has that Chanel refinement. It's never loud. It never pops out or wants to be in the spotlight. That's the way that Coromandel behaves, and it's a beautiful scent. They're both beautiful in their own way. This is more angelic, and this one is definitely devilish. I hope you enjoyed that little take on two different perfumes that I really like, not necessarily love, but yeah, it was interesting to do. And thank you again for watching, and I hope you found that enjoyable. See you later, guys.